Good evening, Internet, and welcome to my fourth video. My name is Anna, and today I'm going to be doing a book tag, a makeup book tag. It's the makeup book tag, and I didn't invent this, obviously. I didn't create this book tag. I don't actually even know the person who created the tag, so if you do know the person, please put it in the comments below. But I saw this on Ariel Bassett's channel a long time ago, and I rewatched it recently, and she did her video as a collab video. It was two parts. She talked about the books, and then her partner in crime, I believe her name was Estee Lalonde, if I'm saying that wrong, please excuse me, talked about the makeup. So I'm going to do the same video with some alterations and additions, but I'm doing it all by myself. So the tag had a lot of components of makeup, but there were some that I felt were missing, so I added some more categories and added more questions for those categories so I could talk about more makeup and more books. I really liked the idea of this tag because I love makeup so much. I mean, obviously, my first three videos were about makeup, but also my background is always books, and these are my books. These two bookshelves are completely full of my personal book collection, and then over half of the next one over there that's off camera is also my book collection. Only two shelves don't have my stuff on it. So I wanted to talk about these, and I'm going to rearrange the way the tag was in her video because I want it to be in the order in which I put on my makeup, which is a personal preference. Everybody does it in different order. Some people do their eyes first, some people do their skin first, some people do their brows first. I mean, you know how I feel about doing my brows first. So let's just jump into it. So the first thing on here, the first question, I have everything written in my journal so I wouldn't forget, is primer. Pick a book that left a lasting impression. So the primer in question is by Touch in Soul and is the No Pore-blem. I hate this name because I can't say it without stumbling over it. The No Pore-blem primer. All right, this is my second bottle. I got my first one from FabFitFun. It did not come in the subscription box, but I picked it up at, I want to say it was in January as an add-on, and I only paid like $10 or $11 for it when it's traditionally $18. And then I got this one, the one I'm using currently, in a BoxyCharm. So as you can see, I like it, and I'm on my second bottle. I highly recommend it if you like a silicone primer, but if you don't like the feel of silicone on your face, skip it. Go for something more moisturizing. It's not going to work for everybody, but I do like it a lot. And it's affordable. So the book that left a lasting impression is Harry Potter. I wanted to pick this book for so many of the questions, but I knew that it had to go in this category. It had to be the first book, and it had to go for the lasting impression, because when I read this book, I think I was 13, I could have been 14. I was basically a functioning illiterate student in school. I have dyslexia. That doesn't go away. You don't grow out of dyslexia. I will always have it. It'll always be more challenging for me to read words that are tricky, especially if they don't follow English rules. Maybe if they have like a French twist to them or something like that, or if they're the exception to a rule, it's going to be tricky for me to read it. Especially names that aren't spelled in the traditional sense. It will really make it difficult for me. And then on top of that, I'm not a very good speller. So at the time, I did not read for fun. I barely read at all and was only reading when forced to. And the reading level I was at was quite low for my age. So this book came out when I was 10. I heard a lot about it. I tried to read it when I was like 11, I think, maybe 12, because I got it for Christmas. And I got to the part where Harry meets Hagrid, and that is as far as I got. I tried 2, maybe even 3 different times to read this book prior to seeing the movie. Then I saw the movie and everything changed. And I wanted to read this book, and I knew I already owned it. So I did. I actually finished an incomplete novel all by myself. It was not an assignment. Nobody forced me to do it. I fell in love with this book and then read 2, 3, and 4 because they were already out at that point. I just kept reading them in a loop over and over and over again, and it really developed my reading skills. So while I'm still a slow reader compared to other 31-year-olds out there, much faster than I used to be. And my reading level by the time I was, I want to say 15, when I had been reading these regularly over and over and over again, by the time I was 15, my reading level was at a college student level. I took a specific test on it for school. I don't know why they tested us on it, but for one of our English classes, we needed to test our reading level, and I got a 12 plus, which meant above a senior in high school. And so my comprehension level was really high. Even if my struggles with understanding certain words weren't there, I was able to make connections and fill the gaps in my reading. So I highly recommend this to you if you haven't read it, but I'm sure you've either already read it or know about it and haven't read it for, a particular personal reason, but so good. Mine is obviously the Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, so it's the US edition, and it's not a first printing or anything special, but it is the original novel that I read when I was 13, and it does have that Dorito stain in it, so, and it still kind of smells like coffee that I was drinking at the time that I read that book. So it'll always be important to me for that reason. Okay, number 2, foundation. Pick your favorite first book in a series. Now, obviously I wanted to pick Harry Potter for this, but I had already chosen it, so I had to pick something different. So let's start off with the foundation. The foundation I picked was BareMinerals Bare Pro. And I haven't been using this for a very long time, so I want to be honest about that. But I have used it regularly for a little while, and I like it a lot. It has really nice coverage without making your skin look weird. And also it's quite liquid, and I like that because it makes a thin layer and gives you the coverage you want without too much product. So if you haven't tried it, it's a really nice option, but it's not the most affordable, but it is a very, I feel like it's a very clean option for your foundation. So take it or leave it. I mean, I'm no expert when it comes to foundation. I still haven't found my perfect foundation. I feel like this is going to be it, but I need to use it even more before I can make that statement. But it is my favorite right now. So what is going to be my favorite first book in a series? Well, I couldn't pick Harry Potter. So I went ahead and picked a book that I read in college, and I got this from the library, so I don't have a copy of it. I'm actually currently looking for a copy at Goodwill. I go to a lot of Goodwills with my fiance. He loves to thrift, and so I've been keeping my eyes peeled for a good copy of Uglies by Scott Westerfeld, and this is the cover that I want, the one that I grew up with, but I'll take any cover if I can get it for $1.99. So that's the book that I picked. I really, really enjoyed that world. And I enjoyed it for the first 2 books, and then I started to dwindle after that. The other books were really good in their own way, but they were different, and they didn't have the same magic that this first one had. And so if I had to pick my favorite first book in a series, it was going to be Uglies, because it's very rare for the first book to be my favorite book of a series. And maybe that's the case for other people, but for me, it's usually like 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, whatever. And this one, it is definitely 1. 1 is my favorite. So Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. I actually got the privilege of meeting him at a book signing. He came, where did he go? I traveled to see him because I didn't live there. I think he went to Mesa. So I went to Mesa to visit him, and he was signing books for a completely different novel, and I bought that novel, and he signed it for me. So I actually own, I think it was Levianth. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it was his steampunk book, and I'm trying to think if I ever read that book. I think I started it and didn't finish it, but I loved Uglies. I love Peeps. Highly recommend Uglies, and obviously looking for my own personal copy to add to my collection. So, all right, number 3. I believe this is the concealer one, but I just lost my page, so I need to find it again. Alrighty, here we go. Concealer, a character you wish you could get rid of. So my concealer is super basic. No one's going to be surprised by this. It's Shape Tape by Tarte. This is my second tube of this specific color. I have another one that's lighter and another one that's darker, depending on the season or what I'm trying to do with it. The lighter one I bought by accident and don't really use. The darker one I bought on purpose for when I want to basically not wear foundation and I just want to cover some blemishes that I have down here next to my chin, and then powder my face. So I highly recommend this for blemishes. I do not recommend this for your under eyes. I know a lot of people will tell you to use it for that. I would say skip it, because it can easily make your eyes look crepey or wrinkled when they're not even in that situation yet. And if it is in that situation, it's going to make it look worse. So this is not a hydrating formula. This is a very drying formula. So I would skip those areas of your face. But I have some discoloration right here on my chin on both sides. It's like scarring slash sunspots, or I don't even know what you call it, but they're basically weird freckles, coupled with some acne scars. And this covers it up really well. And it dries down perfectly, and then I can put powder on top of it, and it's gone. It's like it's not even there. You wouldn't notice it otherwise. If I didn't tell you about it, you probably wouldn't see it. So, highly recommend that for that. The character I want to get rid of. Who's it going to be? It's actually from a mystery novel. Now, this is a mystery romance supernatural novel, but you're going to find it in the mystery section. So it is The Trouble with Magic, and the character I hate is Tom, and he needs to go away. I'm not going to tell you too much about the story because I really encourage you to read this book. It is so good. If you love witches, if you love mystery novels, if you like a little bit of romance, but it's not like the main storyline, this is a great book. Quick read. There's multiple books in the series. I have the rest of them over there. They're all by Madelyn Alt. Highly recommended. But Tom is awful, and I want him gone. Now, I have this thing, I guess, about love triangles. They don't bother me the way they bother some people. You know, it's a trope that's getting overused, and I get that. But my problem is always, I never like the guy that you're supposed to like, the guy that the character ends up with. And I'm not saying whether or not the main character, Maggie, ends up with Tom. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. You'll never know unless you read it. But they set Tom up like he is the first guy. Like he's the one you're supposed to like. And I never liked those guys. And I wanted him gone. And spoiler alert. Okay, if you don't want the spoiler, skip ahead just a couple seconds. He goes away eventually. I just wish it was sooner because I don't like him. All right, unspoiler alert. That's the thing with these tags, is I'm talking about books. How do you talk about problems with books if you can't talk about the spoilers? So there you go. All right, so the next one, powder. Pick your favorite last book in a series. Well, obviously I wanted to pick Harry Potter, but I didn't let myself. So I went with something else. And before I get into that, let's talk about the powder. This was really easy because I don't have a lot of powders. I'm not a fan of loose powders. I have 2 in my collection. Both came in subscription boxes. Both get neglected easily. So the one I picked is the IT Cosmetics CC Plus Airbrush Perfecting Powder, Your Skin But Better, blah, blah, blah. Too much information on the bottle, but it's just a lot. It's a long name. All right, there you go. It's just a basic compact powder. This is what I use when I don't want to use foundation, but I want to wear makeup or I want to cover up blemishes on my skin. So I will use the Tarte Shape Tape in the slightly darker formula, and then I will cover up those areas I mentioned earlier. I will use this, and I will call it a day. Maybe put on some mascara, and that's it. So I really like this for that. But it's not something I use every day. I'm not into finishing powders. So what did I pick for my last book in the series? Well, that was... If I couldn't pick Harry Potter, it was really easy, but also kind of sad. So the book I went with, I have 2 copies of it, and both of them are not here. Well, one of them is here on my phone. I have an Audible version, and then I have the hardback, which is at my mother's house, because I share this series with my mother. And what series am I talking about? It is the Kenzie Milhone series by Sue Grafton, and the one I'm talking about specifically is Y is for Yesterday, because unfortunately, Y is for Yesterday is the last book in the Kenzie Milhone series. It should be Z is for Zero. But tragically, Sue Grafton passed away before she could finish that book, before it could be published. And she did not want anyone else to publish her books or finish them for her. So I don't think there's any hope for that book to be published. And I really don't want it to be published if it's not completely and totally written by Sue Grafton. She was a gem of a person. And again, I got the privilege of meeting her, not just once, but like maybe 3 or 4 times, multiple occasions. So Sue Grafton is a fan and a big supporter of independent bookstores. And there's one in Scottsdale that I would travel to, because I don't live in Scottsdale, but there's one in Scottsdale that she would visit and do events with, and it was the Poison Pen. And so there were multiple opportunities that you could meet her, and she would sign any book. You could have like 25 books with you. If you were up there for Y and you had all 25 books, she would sign every single book for you. And she would sign a bunch of books for the store. So I actually have the entire series. I share it with my mom. I purchased a lot of the early books and a lot of the later books, and my mom purchased a lot of the ones in the middle. I believe, if I'm correct, all of them are signed by Sue Grafton, because she, over the 4 different times I met her, she was able to sign all of the books for us. Y is for Yesterday is a really, really good book. I wish it wasn't the last one in the series, but since it is, it's my last, and it's my favorite for that reason. So it's why I had to pick that book. All right. I'm going to move on. Let's see. Next up is Contour. Pick a book that needed some shaping. So first off, Contour. I love this palette, and I did not buy it on purpose. I got this in a BoxyCharm. It is the Cover FX Face Palette. I don't think it has a special name. It comes in light to medium and medium to dark. Obviously, I have the light version. You can see there are a lot of options in here. I'm trying not to blast you with the mirror. So there is Contour, which is the reason this is on the list. As you can see, I've hit Pan, and there's a big hole in there. I also am a big fan of the 2 highlighters, the brightener, and the finishing powder. I usually skip the blush, but only because of the type of pink it is. If I can make it work with my face look, then, you know, I might use it, but it's not something I reach for regular. However, that contour, it is beautiful. It works wonderfully with my skin tone, and the day that it's completely gone, I am going to really struggle with the decision of, do I buy the entire palette all over again just to have that contour, or can I find something similar to it in a single or a duo? I'm hoping, I haven't done my research yet, but I'm hoping that Cover FX has a single or a duo of that contour, so that I don't have to buy the entire face palette all over again. All right, so what did I have down? Oh, yes, of course. Bunny Drop. So the book that needs some shaping. Bunny Drop. I am a fan of manga. I'm not like a super fan, but I do like it, and I have some in my collection. I have the rest of Bunny Drop over there and some other manga. But the problem with this book is book 5 going forward. All right, you read the first 4 books. They're beautiful. I love the story. The premise is that a 30-something-year-old man goes to his grandfather's funeral and finds out that his grandfather has an illegitimate daughter that no one wants to take care of, and she runs the risk of going to an orphanage. So he decides to step up and... No, that's not him. That's not the character. But he decides to step up and take care of the little girl. And the first 4 books are about that, and they're adorable. They decided to make those first 4 books into an anime. So there's multiple episodes of that. I have that on DVD, and maybe I have it on Blu-ray. It doesn't really matter. And then I also have the live-action movie on Blu-ray. Again, though that movie also focuses on the first 4 books. And for good reason, because at this point, it takes a dark turn. It gets weird. 5 isn't exactly the one that's super problematic, but it begins the problems. Not even good grammar, Anna, but the problems start there. So 5 and 6 are like awkward, and I'm not a fan of them. And then I don't want to spoil it, but basically, no, I'm going to spoil it. Spoiler warning. Okay, if you don't want the spoiler, fast forward. Basically, this girl grows up, she's a teenager, and then falls in love with the guy who raised her. I mean, you find out that he's actually not her nephew. Like, you thought they were related in the beginning, and it turns out they're not actually related, but she falls in love with him, and then wants to be with him, and it's just super weird and awkward, and I wish it would have never happened. So if you want to read Bunny Drop, read the first 4 books, and then pretend everything else doesn't exist, because the rest of the story is just too much, in my opinion. Okay. Let's see. Bronzer. Okay, this is where I added my own category, because I wanted to talk about a bronzer, and I wanted to have a book to go with it, but it wasn't on the original tag, so I deviated. So, bronzer. Pick a good summer read. All right. So the bronzer I picked is a Tom Ford bronzer. Super bougie, I know. But I did not pay full price for it. So please, please don't think that I would spend, I think $125 or something like that for a bronzer. I got this, I'd found it at a, what is it called? An outlet mall in like Palm Springs when I was on vacation. And it was maybe 60 or plus % off. So I did spend quite a bit of money, but not that much. Not compared to what it's worth. So this is the bronzer. It is a beautiful bronzer. It is perfect for my skin tone. It looks wonderful. I can wear it every single day. There are days where I don't want to wear makeup, but I'll put on bronzer and mascara and feel like a rock star. And it is huge, so I'm getting a lot of product there. But yeah, highly recommend it if you find it at a discount mall. If not, I would skip it. Nothing's worth that much. Nothing. All right. The book. Pick a good summer read. Well, I went with something obvious, and that is That Summer by Sarah Dessen. This is a classic YA novel. It's very short and sweet. I love this edition. This is one of the Puffin books. I've never seen any of her other books be printed like this, so maybe because this is one of her earliest books, it was printed differently. But it's the perfect size to put in your purse, take to the beach, take wherever you're going to go that summer, and then just read it on the fly. Now, I think this one, actually I'm pretty certain that this book and, what's it called? It's up there. The rest of the Sarah Dessen books are up there. Someone Like You were the inspiration for How to Deal with It, the movie that features Mandy Moore. So if you want to watch that movie, I recommend reading this book and Someone Like You first, and then watching the movie. Most of the plot is taken from that book, but the setting and some of the characters are taken from this book. So, really good summer read. All right, blush. Pick a book with cringy romance. So the blush I picked was easy peasy. It's Sarah Gellar's Baked Blush. This one is in Tropic Hues. All right, it's a wonderful blush. I got this in a BoxyCharm and can't put it down. I wear it almost every day. I mean, there are some times where I reach for other blushes just because that's what would work best with what I'm wearing that day, but that's one of my favorites. And what I'm going to say for my book is going to be super controversial, so I pre-apologize, but it is Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. This is my complete edition that has all 6 novels plus her novella, so I think there's 7 books in here. But the one specifically I'm talking about is Sense and Sensibility. I was never a huge fan of that book, and I was never a huge fan of the movie. It's fine. I don't dislike it. But like Persuasion and Mansfield Park, I'm just not a big fan of those particular Jane Austen novels. And while I love some of her other work, I really, really have a hard time with Sense and Sensibility. Because maybe it's because so many people love it so much and they gush about it. But I find the love stories kind of cringy. I mean, what Eleanor goes through is difficult for me. Like, it's very realistic, don't get me wrong. But it's difficult for me to enjoy reading it. And then her sister, Mary Ann, is just the only person more ridiculous than Mary Ann, in my opinion, in the Jane Austen universe. I guess would have to be the youngest sister in Pride and Prejudice. And I can't even think of her name right now. I think I'm choosing to block her name out. But I read that book in college, so it's been a while. And obviously I have no intention of rereading Sense and Sensibility since I wasn't a huge fan. But I found that love story a bit cringy. And I think it was Marianne's love story that bothered me the most because she fell so hard for her first romantic male counterpart and then fell so hard for the second one. But I felt like the second love story for Marianne was like a consolation prize, but it was trying to pretend it wasn't. And that really bothered me, but personal preference, I guess. All right, highlighter. Pick a book that brightens your day or that brightened your day. This is where I deviated and I went into comic books. So I'm going to talk about my favorite highlighter first and then the comic book that goes with it. So I have a Melt Cosmetics highlighter. This thing is huge and it is gorgeous, and it is glowy, and if you want to look like an alien, this is the highlighter for you. It's my, let's see, mine is Stargazer. I really, really, really like it. I can't say enough good stuff about it. It's not the most natural highlight, but obviously that's not what you're going for when you pick up a Melt highlighter. They really have the glow. All right. The comic book that goes with it is Giant Days. I have all of these in singles, actually, but I loved it so much that I bought the first 2 volumes to reread without ruining my early singles, and I think I wanted to lend them out. I took it to book club as one of my books to lend out. But Giant Days is amazing, okay? This is by, they don't even have his full name on here. I'm trying to think. I think his first name is John, but it says Allison on here, which I believe is his last name. And then they have the last name of the artist and the colorist, I believe. Let's see if they put his name in here somewhere. No, they don't. They just have his last name. But I believe it's John Allison, but you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. This is about 3 girls. I believe they live in the UK or Canada. I can't remember if they actually specify at some point, but I don't think they live in the US. And they're in college, and a bunch of hijinks and shenanigans happen. It's hilarious. I believe John Allison printed 3 singles prior to this run with Boombox, and those I can't seem to find in print anywhere, so I bought them digitally on Comixology, and I read those after falling in love with this. And they kind of do this thing where there's like a montage trying to catch you up on what happened in those previous singles, because those are considered canon. But if you truly want to know the beginning of their relationship, you want to find those on Comixology. Otherwise, you're not going to be missing a ton of content. You're going to be fine moving forward if you just buy volume 1. But if you're like me and you're a stickler and you want everything, then yeah, go find those. So, all right. Eyeshadow. Pick a book with your favorite color. Well, my favorite color is gray, even though many people will argue it's not a color, and I would agree with them, because it's technically like a shade. But let's start with my eyeshadow. So my favorite eyeshadow is the most expensive eyeshadow I own, which is a good thing that it's my favorite, because if it wasn't my favorite and also the most expensive thing I've ever bought, obviously I would have a lot of regrets, but I don't. And that is Pat McGrath, and this is Mothership 5. I know you can't tell because I threw out the box. I don't understand why people keep the boxes. I mean, they're beautiful, but then it's just a hassle that you have to take it out of the box every time you want to use it, and I don't want to deal with it. But this is Mothership 5. It is gorgeous, beautiful, and works like a dream. I don't have any eyeshadows that perform as beautifully as this set does. Highly recommend if you can afford it. It was on sale when I purchased it. I think it was 25% off. She had a sale on her website. Maybe it was just 20% off, but I think it was 25% off. I saved a good chunk of change. It was still really expensive, but I don't regret it. I mean, I could, but I don't. So, beautiful. Everybody talks about her special shades, and they are very, very, very special. The pink and the red one are my favorites. I don't know the names of them because I threw out the box. But the mattes, her mattes are wonderful. And that was what surprised me the most. I knew the shimmer shades, especially the special shades, were going to be like stunning, but I had no idea how perfectly blendable and smooth the matte shades were going to be. All right, the book that goes with it. So my favorite color is gray, even though it's not a color. And the book I picked for this is Draw, Paint, Print Like the Great Artists. And it's not a novel. It's actually an activity/text book. It definitely leans on the activity side. Sorry, I didn't cross my legs because my feet are going to go numb. I'm falling asleep here. I'm an art teacher, and I bought this because it gave me a lot of cool ideas of how to incorporate information about famous artists in an educational but fun and entertaining way for children. And that's why I bought the book. So I have not done the activities in the book because I don't want to, I guess, alter, edit, or compromise my edition. But I really, really enjoy it. And in fact, this is one of the reasons I bought it, was this section right here. All of these symbols are Mayan symbols. And I teach these to my kids when we learn about the Mayan culture in 4th grade. So I really wanted this for that specific reason. So that has truly come in handy in my classroom. So no regrets in purchasing that. Okay, what's next on my list here? Eyeliner. Pick a dark and mysterious book. So the eyeliner in question, I mean, if you saw my last video, you know how I feel about eyeliner. I'm not a fan of eyeliner because it makes my eyes water. I never use liquid liner anymore. I don't even try. And I rarely, if ever, line my waterline. But if I'm going to attempt to do that, this is the brand I'm going to use. It is Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil. I have mine in Overdrive. So you would think it would be in black, but the only one I own of this brand is this teal, turquoisey, whatever you want to call it, color. And it is so smooth and creamy. It goes on so easy. It does not irritate my eyes. My only problem is that it doesn't go well with everything because I picked it in this specific color instead of buying black. Because I guess when I bought this, I was like, well, I already own black. I have like 2 black eyeliners at home. I don't need more. And I ended up getting more in my BoxyCharm. So I had plenty of black options. I wanted a different color. I wanted a pop of color. And I went with this because I thought it would look really good with my Born to Run Urban Decay eyeshadow palette. And it does. But because of the color, I don't always reach for it. All right, so the dark and mysterious book in question is actually an audiobook. I don't think I own a paper copy of this. I bought this directly on DVD. It's an unabridged 8 CD set of The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. Anyone who has read this is going to tell you that it is very good, but it is also quite creepy. And it's creepy in an unexpected way. So I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, but I would highly recommend reading the book first. I really enjoyed the audiobook for this. I don't think that I would repurchase it on Audible. I think I would just suffer through listening to this on my Discman again if I were to re-listen to it. But I did really enjoy the audiobook. And so if you have Audible, that might be an option for you. But it's so good and yet so creepy at the same time. It's hard to explain. But as the title says, The Virgin Suicides, it's about suicide. So that might be triggering for some of you. And it's not going to be something that everyone is going to want to listen to. So I definitely consider that before choosing it for yourself. Let's see. Eyebrows. A book you think everyone should read. So Eyebrows, I'm so simple. I bought this like over a year ago. This is the Gimme Brow by Benefit, and it is now finally to the stage of which it's almost so empty that I need to replace it. I'm making it work. There's a little bit of product left in there, and which means it's lasts forever. Like, I highly recommend it. It does really, really last. But I'm finally to the point where I need to buy a new one. And I'm going to get this exact same one because I was so happy with it. Quick and easy, just brushing on your brows, gives you a little pigment. I definitely need it. And then I can fill in bald spots with my powder afterwards. But if I don't want to, if I want to just skip that, this will definitely make them better. So for minimal days, I will just do this product and this alone. The book I think everybody should read. I went with a children's book, and this is called Odd Duck. It's by, oh my goodness, she has a tricky name. I'm not even going to attempt it. I'm just going to zoom in so you can read it yourself. I actually met her at a book fair / author reading. I did not buy this book at the time. I don't even think that this book had come out when I met her. But she was talking about another novel that she had recently written, because she does write novels, and she has done graphic novels as well. So I think this might be her first children's book, and it is beautiful. Number one, the art is gorgeous. I mean, let me find a good page. There's so many good pages. What am I talking about? But let me find the perfect page. I don't know if I can find the perfect page. You've got a goofy duck who likes to swim with a teacup on her head. And then she finally gets a neighbor who, he's like dyed some of his feathers rainbow colors, and he doesn't like to fly south for the winter. So they're both staying up north And they just learn to become friends, even though they both find each other very, very odd. And throughout the book, they discover what it's like to accept someone for who they are and see past these perceived flaws and see the person that they truly are inside. And I think everybody should read this book. I absolutely adore it. Okay. I've got 3 books left, so if you think this is a super long video, you are right. All right, so setting spray. Your favorite book setting. And again, I wanted to pick Harry Potter, but I didn't. I didn't let myself pick Harry Potter. So what was my setting spray? I picked Florence by Mills Zero Chill Face Mist. This thing is amazing. It smells so good. It's like a rose and lavender spray, and it smells like roses without smelling like your grandmother, or I guess my grandmother specifically. It's really, really good. Like, I'll do it right now. It has such a fine mist. For something that has an old-fashioned, like, pump action sprayer, usually these guys tend to spit at you, and it's only the aerosols that have the fine mist, but I don't like buying aerosol, so I really, really enjoy this. Now, I'm not going to promise that this is going to make your makeup last forever. If you want something that lasts forever, get some Urban Decay all-nighter, but it is a nice option. It smells wonderful, and I do think it helps a little bit at sealing everything in. Since I don't like to set my makeup, I just like put on the liquid foundation, put on the powders on top of it, and then this kind of like seals it together so that it's one unified, I don't know, item on my face. Truly, truly enjoy that. All right, so the book that I have, my favorite setting, all right? It's not a book, it's a comic, and I thought I had this in a paperback as well. I thought this was like Giant Days, where I went out and I also bought the paperback because I didn't want to damage my original copy by rereading it and rereading it again, because I have a #1 of Lumberjanes. And if I do have this in paperback, I don't know where it is. I also have a digital copy on my Kindle, so you know, that's fine. I can reread that version and leave this in here to look nice. But this is an amazing story, and the setting is so magical. It's basically like Girl Scouts meet 4-H meets, I don't know, like Percy Jackson. Like there's like mystical, magical creatures in the woods. They're at a summer camp. They're kind of like Girl Scouts, but obviously they're not called Girl Scouts. They're called Lumberjanes, and summer seems to last forever, and that's not because it's written like The Simpsons. It's because there's something magical about their location where it feels like they've been there a lot longer, that the days go by there at a different pace than the days are going by for their parents. So they feel like they've been at summer camp for like a really long time. They'll call home and it's been a day. It's been a couple hours. It's been, you know, a week when they feel like they've been there a month. I don't know the exact proportion of the time difference, but the location and setting of this is gorgeous. I love the characters. I love the versatility of the stories that they're able to tell with this. I love the girl power nature. It's a very diverse cast, in my opinion. I mean, it could be more diverse, but I really appreciate what they did here. The artwork is beautiful. These early ones are my favorite. But it just keeps getting better and better. I think I'm up to like 60 something. I have all of them in singles. So obviously I'm a fan. I think it helps that I used to be a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout for 5 years. Daisies through my first year of juniors. Then I switched to 4-H, and I did that for 5 years. And I was also a camp counselor at a 4-H camp. I became a teacher, so I have all these fond memories of camping and being in the wilderness and being with my friends, and I don't know. I wish, as magical as summer camp was for me as a child and then as a teenager, I wish it could have been like this. So, highly recommend. Okay, mascara, a book with some flair. I obviously made up this category as well. I made up the setting spray category too. So, mascara. I have yet to find my favorite mascara. I don't know if it exists yet. People keep talking about the Essence Princess Lash or something like that. And as soon as I use up all the mascara I currently have collected from all my BoxyCharms and FabFitFuns and whatever, I have a lot of mascara that is in my waiting to be used drawer. Once those are all gone and I actually need to purchase a mascara, I'm going to definitely try that Essence Princess Lash thingamabobber. But in the meantime, this is what I'm using right now, and this is the Benefit Bad Gal Bang mascara. And it's not bad. Is it wonderful? Is it life-altering? Is it going to make you look like you're wearing falsies? Of course not. It's just mascara. It will make your lashes black. Yes, it will make them black. And that's about it. It's excellent for lower lashes, so there's that. But, I mean, it's not a drugstore product, so why would you buy this just for lower lashes? However, I like the subtlety of it because I wear glasses, so I don't need them to be big and crazy and, I don't know, super lush when I'm wearing glasses. I've said this before, I don't wear glasses on camera because the glare and all that stuff, but I do wear them in my personal life, and I don't want my lashes getting in the way of my glasses. So this is what I choose to use for that, but I think I'm going to try that other product soon. Well, soon-ish. Okay, so the book that goes with this. A book that has some flair. Scott Pilgrim. I saw the movie first, and I was like, there's no way that the book could be this crazy. I was wrong. The book is exactly that crazy. It is the perfect representation of what the books are. It was amazing. Like, the way they talk in that movie is exactly how they sound in this comic or this graphic novel, and I highly recommend it. The lucky thing for me was because I watched the movie first and then read the graphic novel afterwards, I was able to buy these in hardback and in color, which was not the case if you were an early fan. You were buying them paperback in black and white. And they would talk about Fiona's hair color changing all the time, and you wouldn't be able to see it because it'd be always gray or black or something like that. But these are truly beautiful pages when they're in color. And I love his artwork. I really appreciate his style. I'm trying to find the perfect page to show you. But of course, there's no perfect page, so I'll just show you this one. But yeah, you can also get these now with the villains on the cover too, so if you're interested in that. And my favorite bit is they have all this bonus material at the end of the book. So if you were a super fan but missed some stuff, or if you're a new fan and are a completionist and you want to know all the extra information, it is in the back of the book. There's extra sketches, there's paragraphs of information. They have the story from Free Comic Book Day that probably no one can get their hands on now that the movie came out and it's so popular, and that free comic book is probably worth a lot of money. You can read it in the back of, like, I think the hardcover 3. Number 3 has it. They're right behind me over there. So, yes, book with flair. All right, the last one. Lipstick, your favorite book kiss. So, my lipstick, I would have to go with a Dose of Color. And that is what I am... No, I'm not wearing it right now. This is what I wore to work today, and then I switched it when I got home. All right, so Dose of Color is a quite affordable liquid lipstick that's very comfortable. I have my liquid lipsticks that I need to last all day, and those tend to be Tarte, but they are not that comfortable in comparison to this. This product is really comfortable, and it's something that I can wear and not worry about wearing off weird because, well, number one, I have it in Lazy Daisy, so this is an excellent color choice for my skin type. I got it in a BoxyCharm, so I didn't even pick it out for myself. It was quite lucky that I got this color instead of some like random fuchsia, and I hate fuchsia, but I got this. It's really comfortable. When it does wear off, it wears off in a natural, like, acceptable way. It doesn't look weird. It's easy to reapply. I don't have to remove the whole thing to reapply it. I don't know what else to say other than if you hate liquid lipstick and you want to give it one more try this. And if you love liquid lipstick and you haven't tried this, it's worth a try. I really, really enjoy it. Okay, so favorite book kiss. I wanted to pick Harry Potter. I wanted to pick Hermione and Ron, but I didn't let myself. So I picked The Fault in Our Stars. This is a beautiful love story by John Green. And if you haven't heard from it, where have you been? Literally, where have you been? My copy is very important to me because it's the one that I bought when I went to meet John Green. So it's signed by John Green, it's personalized to me, and it has a Hanklerfish because Hank was there when John was signing this. So I have that as well. And Hank even signed it. I forgot Hank signed it too. So, oh, and I have my ticket. I was one of the first people to buy a ticket for the Phoenix show. As you can tell by now, I live in Arizona. I'm not telling you where in Arizona because I don't live in Phoenix either. I don't live in Scottsdale. I'm not that rich. But I do live in Arizona. And I still have my ticket from when he came to visit. So I was so excited when I heard that he was coming here. Because growing up in the Midwest, he would have never went to Omaha. He would have never went to like any close by option for me to go visit him. He wouldn't have went to Des Moines or Omaha or anything like that. So for him to come here and me to be able to see him and meet him, I was so nervous meeting John Green. I was shaking. I could barely tell him my name so he could personalize that book. And then I think I left the event without buying any merchandise because I really wanted merchandise, but everyone who couldn't go get their book signed first had rushed to the merchandise table, and I didn't want to wait there forever. So I actually had to work the next day because this was on Tuesday and I didn't take off Wednesday. So I went home. It was quite a drive, but yeah, I don't know. Okay. So that's my list. It's a lot of things, a lot of books. Some of them were novels. Some of them were manga or manga, depending on how you pronounce it. Please tell me down below. Some of them were graphic novels, children's books, comic books, kind of a textbook option, audiobook. I don't know. I love books, and I'm glad I was able to share that with you and still, keep it on content, I guess. But what I'm thinking now is, why do I need to pigeonhole myself with just one topic? I think I might branch out a little bit more and include some updates of things that I'm reading. I've actually been reading more lately. I went through this phase of not reading for a while, and I kind of regret that now. And I binge watched so many episodes of Errol Bassett's channel, and now I really just want to read more. So I think that's what I'm going to do tonight. Anyway, that's it for me. Have a good evening. Bye.